Welcome to Headphone News, Montreal edition for Sunday, November 17, 2024.
Montreal firefighter gear contains harmful chemicals. Recent tests show alarming levels of PFAS, known as forever chemicals, in the bunker gear worn by firefighters in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. These substances are linked to serious health risks, including cancer. In the last 15 years, 77 firefighters in Montreal have lost their lives to work-related cancer, highlighting their higher risk compared to the general population. While several cities in North America are switching to safer gear free of PFAS, Montreal has yet to make this change. This issue gained attention when concerns were raised about a possible connection between a firefighter's prostate cancer and the gear he used. This situation underscores the urgent need for safer equipment to protect the health of firefighters who risk their lives for the community.
Canadian attendance at COP29 raises concerns among Armenians. Canada is taking part in the United Nations Climate Change Conference, known as COP29, which is hosted by Azerbaijan. This decision has sparked significant concerns among the Armenian community in Montreal. Last year, nearly 120,000 Armenians were expelled from Nagorno-Karabakh, following violence and a blockade that led to critical shortages of food and medical supplies. Community members are calling on the Canadian government to address these human rights issues at the conference. The Environment Minister is committed to advocating for human rights while pushing for climate action during the event. The ongoing situation underscores the challenges the Armenian people face amidst this significant international meeting.
Canadian government shuts down TikTok offices. The Canadian government has ordered the closure of TikTok's offices in Toronto and Vancouver due to concerns over national security and potential data sharing with the Chinese government. Canadian influencers worry that this shutdown might lead to a full ban on the TikTok app. Influencer Naomi Lineage, who has over 500,000 followers, shared her disappointment about losing support from TikTok's local offices. This move raises important questions about the future of TikTok and its effect on the digital economy in Canada.
Cyclist dies in Montreal collision with SUV. A 76-year-old cyclist was killed in Montreal after being struck by a sport utility vehicle, or SUV. The accident happened in the Rivière-des-Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles neighborhood around 3:30 p.m. on November 16, 2024. When police arrived, they found the cyclist unconscious and in critical condition. Despite efforts by paramedics, the cyclist was pronounced dead at the hospital. The 33-year-old driver of the SUV was making a left turn during the collision and was not injured. An investigation is currently underway. This tragic event raises important concerns about the safety of cyclists on Montreal's roads.
Montreal City Councillors address homelessness. On November 16, 2024, City Councillors in Montreal, Quebec, proposed a motion to declare a state of emergency for homelessness. The action aims to protect vulnerable individuals as winter temperatures drop. The proposal suggests using private homes for temporary shelter and increasing resources for local shelters. Supporters, including the community group Resilience Montreal, believe this action could save lives. Some city officials propose that building more modular housing may provide a better long-term solution. If the motion is approved, Montreal would join other Canadian cities like Toronto and Edmonton in declaring an emergency concerning homelessness.
Montreal locals visit downtown less often. A new study by SOMLA Press reveals that 40% of residents in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, are visiting downtown less frequently than before the COVID-19 pandemic. Many locals cite ongoing construction and traffic problems as major reasons for this decline. Michel LeBlanc, president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of Metropolitan Montreal, stresses the importance of city officials addressing these issues. One significant construction site is St. Catherine Street, which has been under renovation since 2023. Business owners like Alain Cretin from Chez Alexander Restaurant report a 30% drop in lunchtime customers. To draw in more diners, Cretin offers a $7 discount on meals, which is about $1.34. This study highlights shifts in local behavior and the need for downtown to be more accessible and inviting.
Montreal councillors tackle homelessness emergency. On November 16, 2024, City councillors in Montreal proposed a motion to declare a state of emergency for homelessness. This motion seeks immediate action as winter approaches. It recommends using private accommodations to provide shelter for those without homes and increasing support for local shelters. Councillor Sauve highlighted the urgent need to protect vulnerable residents during the cold months. The community group Resilience Montreal supports this initiative, stating that a state of emergency could help save lives as temperatures drop. A spokesperson for the city suggested that building more modular housing units may be a better long-term solution. If approved, Montreal would join other Canadian cities like Toronto and Edmonton that have already declared similar emergencies.
Port operations resume in Montreal after Longshore workers' lockout. Operations have resumed at the Port of Montreal after a lockout affecting about 1,200 Longshore workers. This lockout began on November 10th, following stalled contract negotiations. The Maritime Employers Association locked out the workers after they started a strike on October 31st. The Canada Industrial Relations Board stepped in to order the workers back, with negotiations now moving to binding arbitration. This situation highlighted the importance of labor relations in the shipping industry. As a key economic hub for trade in Canada, the Port of Montreal underscores the need for timely resolutions in labor disputes.
Quebec hosts Forum for Celiac Disease Awareness. A citizens' forum is set for November 16, 2024, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, focused on the challenges faced by individuals living with celiac disease. Organized by Celiac Quebec, an advocacy group for those affected by this autoimmune disorder, the event aims to bring together around 85,000 residents diagnosed with celiac disease, which can cause a wide range of symptoms. Health professionals, patients, and food industry representatives will gather to create an action plan to improve the quality of life for those managing this condition. The forum will also discuss strategies to shorten diagnosis times and improve training for future healthcare providers dealing with celiac disease.
Canada invests in affordable housing in Montreal. On November 15, 2024, the Government of Canada announced a $364 million Canadian dollars investment to build 989 new housing units in Montreal, Quebec. This funding is part of efforts to make housing more affordable for families. Labour Minister McKinnon and Parliamentary Secretary House Father discussed this initiative at a press conference. Some of the new units will be offered at below-market prices to better serve community needs. This investment is part of a broader commitment, with $57.57 billion Canadian dollars allocated for over 156,000 housing units nationwide. The initiative also aims to support vulnerable groups, including seniors and families fleeing violence.
Cyclist fatality in Montreal raises safety concerns. A tragic accident took place in Montreal, Quebec, on November 16, 2024, when a 76-year-old cyclist was killed after being hit by a sport utility vehicle in the Rivière des Prairies Pointe-aux-Trembles area. Police received a call about the collision around 3:30 p.m. and found the cyclist unconscious on the ground. Paramedics arrived on the scene and attempted to resuscitate the cyclist before transporting him to the hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. The driver of the vehicle, a 33-year-old man, was not injured. This incident raises serious concerns about cyclist safety on city streets and highlights the need for better traffic regulations and road safety measures.
Trudeau promotes nuclear energy at APEC Summit. At the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Lima, Peru, on November 16, 2024, Prime Minister Trudeau discussed the growing need for electricity and how Canadian nuclear energy can address this demand. He explained that nuclear energy is a clean solution to power needs driven by advancements in artificial intelligence and the rise of electric vehicles. The Canadian government announced an investment of $3 billion Canadian dollars, roughly $1.34 billion US dollars, to support new nuclear projects in Romania, marking the first reactor construction there since 2007. International Trade Minister Ng pointed out the increasing electricity demands faced by Pacific Rim economies. Trudeau's remarks focused on strengthening collaboration among APEC member countries in the field of clean energy technology.
New exhibition examines colonial attitudes towards Indigenous cultures. The McCord Stewart Museum in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, has launched a new exhibition called Costume Balls, Dressing Up History 1870 to 1927. This exhibit explores the costumes and attitudes of colonial figures from 1870 to 1927. Opening on November 13, 2024, and running until August 17, 2025, the exhibition showcases about 40 outfits that wealthy non-Indigenous individuals wore while dressing as Indigenous people during extravagant costume balls. Curators Cynthia Cooper and Jonathan Laney seek to educate visitors on how these events perpetuated harmful stereotypes about Indigenous cultures. The exhibit features handcrafted costumes and historical photographs, illustrating the link between these celebrations and the oppression of Indigenous communities. Through this exhibition, important discussions about cultural respect and the lasting impacts of colonialism are fostered, highlighting the need to understand this complex history.
Dramatic finish in Mitchell Bowl. In an exciting football game, the Laval Rouge et defeated the Regina Rams 17-14 in the Mitchell Bowl on November 16, 2024. The match took place in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. The Rams surged ahead late in the game with a 36-yard touchdown run by Erickson. However, Laval answered back with a crucial 85-yard drive, scoring a touchdown with just over 1 minute remaining. Rams quarterback Pelletier completed 28 of 44 passes for 356 yards, playing through an injury. This victory secures Laval a place in the upcoming Vanier Cup, while the Rams look back on a season that exceeded expectations.
Canada's trade strategies discussed at APEC summit amid Trump's return to presidency. During the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Lima, Peru, on November 16, 2024, Prime Minister Trudeau highlighted key trade challenges. He called for cooperation among nations as Donald Trump prepares to return to the U.S. presidency. Trudeau announced a $35 million investment aimed at health care and community development programs in Peru. The discussion also addressed concerns over tariffs on electric vehicles from China and steel imports. This dialogue underscored the importance of fair trade practices and collaborative efforts to navigate the complexities of international trade.
That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.